The Brooklyn Nets had an active first couple of days of NBA free agency, and they're reportedly in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes. So let's break down what the Nets have done so far with New York Post Nets beat writer, my guy Brian Lewis, who joins me now. Brian, are you burnt out from the first couple of days of free agency?
No, not at all. Come on.
Good.
We love free agency.
Good. I'm glad you love it. You're not burnt out. A lot of activity, a lot of things going on. But, Brian, we saw the Nets bring back Cam Johnson, 4 years, $108 million deal. How important was it for them to keep Cam, and how do you see him fitting into Brooklyn's long-term plans?
I think it was very important, borderline vital. Power forward, position of need ever since they traded KD. You also have to consider shot making. You've lost KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris, Seth Curry. So obviously this is a situation where you can't just let Cam walk for nothing. And that doesn't even include the fact that he's best friends with your newly minted star, your franchise player, Mikal Bridges. So I would say all in all, it was vital to keep Cam, regardless of what you had to pay him.
Yep, he got that done on a nice deal, 4 years, as I said, $108 million. Now we got to talk about Damian Lillard because he requested a trade from the Blazers. That broke on Saturday, and Brooklyn is reportedly on the very short list of teams that Dame would like to go to, along with the Miami Heat. It would appear, Brian, that the Nets have the draft capital here to get him, but what would it realistically take to bring Dame time to BK?
Well, listen, I can't speak for Portland's front office. What I would say is this. Could they make a more attractive offer than Miami? Yes, probably so, considering the reports are that Portland is not enamored with Tyler Hero. What I would say is you have to consider not only could, but should. Cam's 27, Bridges and Ben Simmons are both 26, Nick Claxton's 24, Cam Thomas is 21, and your 2 first-round draft picks, the 2 youngest draft picks in Nets history, are both 18. So when you look at the Nets timeline, and when you look at what they would have to give up to get him, you have to consider, okay, is it possible to get him? Yes. Should you exhaust all of your assets to get him? That's an entirely separate story. So could they? Yes. I am not sure how likely that is.
All right, we'll see. It's
or
interesting.
How wise it would be, to be honest with you.
Right, and it is interesting because you make a good point in terms of how he would fit if he comes to Brooklyn with the timeline of some of their young players and what it would take to get him. It's a lot, and it'll be interesting to watch and see what happens with that, but there's more to go. Now, the Nets, they did make some trades this offseason. They sent Patty Mills away and Joe Harris in separate deals. They also signed Dennis Smith Jr. in another signing yesterday. What other moves could you see the Nets making to improve this roster this summer?
Well, one thing that they've done, which is something they haven't done since 2019 when they brought in KD and Kyrie, is getting under the cap. So I would expect them to exhaust that cap space. I would also think they've now got a stockpile of traded player exceptions. 19.9 million, 18.1 million, 4.5 million, and presumably off of the Patty Mills deal, 6.8 million, right? So the 19 and the 19.9 and the 6.8, those are both good for an entire year. So those could be used next year at the onset of free agency. So I would expect at the very least to use all or part of the 18 million, whether they do that this summer or whether you do that early next season. I would say those are things to look out for. There are ways, and they now have flexibility. Whereas going into this offseason, you looked and you said, well, this is pretty much the team. They don't have a whole lot of flexibility. You're going to be shopping in the bargain bin for minimum salary guys. Now that's no longer the case. Now you have legitimate ways at 15 million under the cap. I think you have legitimate ways now that they can build out and improve this roster around a Cam, Bridges, Nick Claxton base. You have legitimate ways that you can make moves and improve.
Nets
not
have,
just around the edges.
Yeah, Nets have some more flexibility, as you said, than we thought heading into this offseason. That's something to definitely keep an eye on with Brooklyn as they look to shape the roster for the 2023-2024 season. Brian Lewis, beat writer for the New York Post, covering the Brooklyn Nets. He'll be all on top of it this offseason. Brian, don't let free agency wear you down. Enjoy it some more. I know you've been enjoying it already. Don't let it wear you down, and we'll talk soon.
All right, anytime.
Thank you.